Assassin's Creed, and your idea for the next Assassin's Creed game, Mike.
So, my idea has been, and I worked with this on Nikos for a little bit. Now, I think that we came to something that's at least somewhat of a compelling. I wouldn't say compelling, but something that's interesting enough that you would want to play.
Right. Before we get to that, John, have you played any of the Assassin's Creed games?
A little.
Fair enough. Okay, so you're somewhat familiar, like I am.
I've played a game, so like I'm.
Assassin's Creed 1?
Yeah.
So the first.
Yeah. Honestly, that's all you really have to play. So, my idea was Assassin's Creed Sengoku. Assassin's Creed Sengoku, which would be during the Japanese feudal Japan era, and if I remember correctly, the time period is between 1568 into 1600, which is the beginning of the Edo era.
Correct.
Our main character, Kiba, his father is killed by men of Oda Nobunaga, because Nobunaga was trying to spread Christianity across Japan, and Kiba's father was completely against it, was killed. He decides to seek revenge, join the Kage Iki, which is led by Kinio, is trained by fucking I think it's Nagato and Guillemon, who are two of the most famous ninjas during that time period, and then attempts to make several, at least tries to kill Nobunaga several times over the course of the story. However, is stopped every single time that he gets close, and eventually he comes up with the brilliant plan of making Nobunaga kill himself by turning one of the members of Nobunaga's clan against him. And our main character will eventually, die. At the correct time period where he should. I want to make this as historically accurate as you can for an Assassin's Creed game.
Because if nothing else, Assassin's Creed's very, very good at doing that.
Yes. Not really.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they did. I thought they did all right with the one where they did the Revolutionary War. Even though it's weird that an assassin's in that.
They've done the Revolutionary War. They've covered the Renaissance era, the 100 Years War. They've covered fucking pirates in the Caribbean because, of course, they had to.
Egypt, ancient Greece.
They've covered China. They've covered bits and pieces of everything. But my major thing is I want a game where I finally have the choice of picking an arsenal. Now, I know somebody's going to sit there and go, well, you already did that. There's a whole Assassin's Creed game based on the French Revolution. Yeah, and that game is not great. It kind of sucks. It's definitely give me money bait.
Yeah.
And I hate that, and that shit's annoying. And I had to I did about almost 2.5 days of looking through Japanese history to make sure that everything leads to the correct locations that they need to be.
Right.
And your character using black eggs, caltrops, fucking smoke bombs, firecrackers, tools. Actually using tools in his arsenal to evade.
Batman. So like Batman in a sense.
You get Batman. Okay, if somebody fucking says Ninja Batman, I'm gonna get really mad.
He is Ninja Batman. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a good comparison. You can't deny it.
No, except the difference is that you kill. Batman has the whole.
Right. That's the only difference. I'm just pointing it out as far as the tools aspect of it.
Well, that's the whole thing. You should have tools to get around the city, to get around all of these feudal Japan locations, to climb castle walls. Because that still exists. Tokyo, Japan is not the big thing yet. Edo is not the big location yet. Okinawa is still, small huts and shit like that. We're talking about using weapons like the katana, the ninjaku, the wakizashi, the tanto, the kama. Yeah, the odachi, the naginata, the yara, and fucking the yumi. For God's sakes, one of the greatest bows ever made. Gaining legendary weapons like Kasanagi, which is the sword of Orochimaru. Kembukari, which is one of the 3 spears made by Masazana. Like, we're talking about some serious fucking weapons here. We're talking about the staff of Sengoku. or in Chinese mythology would be Sun Wukong, a weapon that can extend in combat and allow you to use it at close to long range distance.
Right. So basically, what you did with this is you tried to make an Assassin's Creed game that appeals to the base audience that is a fan of Assassin's Creed, but also reach to a new audience that is a fan of anime and specifically, maybe Japanese.
No. Dude, these are all based off of actual Japanese gods. Orochimaru is a real Japanese god.
Yeah.
Sengoku is a real Japanese god.
I'm not denying that, but you can't deny that if you have those kind of weapons that nerds of anime that also know that people use those weapons, like Nikos mentioned the kunai, will probably be attracted to that game just for that. I'm not saying that people of national historians Japan wouldn't be interested in it. Of course they would be. I'm just pointing it out there that it
absolutely, because I don't think that there's enough coverage when it comes to, dude, we're talking about all the way up to the 1800s. They barely use guns.
Right.
They were like a rarity in Japan. We're talking about castle sieges where guys in full suits of armor are still running up walls and doing what they have to do. That's my whole thing. I'm talking about these are weapons that you will be able to obtain later on that are high weapons that will be able to give you more shit. Like Amaterasu's Yumi, which is her bow. The Bow of Sunlight, which is one of the most powerful fucking bows you're going to be able to get in the game, where you're melting opponents, almost literally.
Right.
The armor of Raiden, the boots of Sunaowo. We're talking about, I think it's Inari's cloak, which is the ability to shapeshift. And for Nikos, for you, we're talking about the Cursed Mask as well.
Yeah, so I actually want to talk a little bit about that. One of my cinema horror genre class, we were supposed to watch a movie called Onibaba, which is basically a movie about villagers during the time period where Mike described in the game, where villagers kill samurai, steal their armor and weapons, and trade them for goods. One day, one of the villagers encounters a samurai who wears a mask. She asks him why he wears the mask. He says, "I wear it to protect my beauty." The villager leads the samurai to his death, and she tries to pull off the mask from him, but she has difficulty pulling it off. When she does, she sees that the beautiful face of the samurai is all mutilated, disfigured, scarred, burned, and later in the movie, the woman uses the mask to scare her daughter-in-law and forbidding her to see her husband's best friend, for sexual relationship. Afterwards, when she fails, the daughter-in-law encounters the mother, who can't seem to get the mask off. And when she does, she breaks the mask, and what happens to the samurai's face is the same thing for the mother's face. So we came up with the idea is, what if we use that mask from the movie, and it gives our main character a special ability whenever he wears the mask. And that ability is, Mike?
Well, it's a basic stat effect, which will give the base player about a 60% chance in combat to have your enemies run in horror, which is terror. So let's say you're going up against a crowd of 10 guys. 6 of them will run, making it down to 4 because of the fact of what you are wearing on your face. It's about making gameplay fun and giving somebody something fun to use. You don't want to do how do I say this? You definitely do not want to be a game company or any individual out there. Electronic Arts that gives somebody some boring shit. Because, I mean, let's be honest, nobody wants to sit there and listen to, the same nonsense from companies out there. I don't know some off the top of my head. Electronic Arts that really has no idea how to entertain the masses at this point.
Right.
And including... sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nikos.
So, we actually came to the agreement that the more the main character wears the mask, the more slowly his face will be disfigured. The more he wears that mask.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And with that idea, I went into the whole conceptual design of, dude, what if fucking masks give you extra abilities? What if you put on the mask of an Oni and you're able to be cloaked in fog outside of locations? If you decide to put on a kitsune mask, you're able to blend into the public and it's considered like a non-threat. Using items. I just want to have an Assassin's Creed game where it feels like I have an arsenal and I can walk through human beings, including probably the scariest weapon in the entire game, Masamune.
Fair enough.
A weapon that is considered by many in Japanese mythology and outside of Japanese mythology as the evil blade of bloodlust. A weapon that consumes the blood of victims and becomes stronger over time. That is the type of shit I want to see. I want to see a Japanese game, or at least a Japanese-inspired game that allows me to go into Japan and experience the world for myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I want to be able to go through Japanese history and not see one side of things. I want to be able to see how different things are. Because that's the problem with the American Revolution Assassin's Creed game. It's so anti-British that it's not even funny.
Yeah.
I get you.
It's like there's two sides to the war, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they were very pro-American.
Which is fine if that's the audience that you're trying to get to.
Sorry.
Doing historical accuracy, be historically Nikos. You were in a classic film class, right?
Yes.
Did you ever watch Tora?
No.
I would recommend it. It's an incredible.
I actually watched parts of it in my history class back in high school.
It's a very good movie when you get through it. I mean, a lot of people will go, it's slow pacing, it's character development. Yeah, that's kind of how real life happens when you think about it.
This is very true.
Not everything is guns, bombs, and explosions every 10 seconds.
I mean, it was 100 times a lot better than Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor. Let's be clear on that.
Because it wasn't sitting there going, "Oh, well, here's your sad love story, and here's Pearl Harbor. It's the backdrop to the whole thing, and then there's."
That pissed me off when he made it the fucking backdrop. Are you kidding?
It really is the backdrop of the whole movie. It's just it just happens, and you're like, oh, the
love story in that movie was important.
The Boy Scouts of the Boy Scouts of America are the first ones to see the plane. That's not even true. The first person to see the Japanese invade Pearl Harbor was a woman pilot. A female pilot was the first one to see the Japanese invade Pearl Harbor.
Now, let's we're gonna do a voting system right now. So Mike's idea, because we gotta try to wrap this up as quick as possible so we can get to the rest of the topics. So on a scale from 1 to 10, basically, is what we're gonna go by this. John, we're gonna start with you since you're kind of a casual Assassin's Creed player. What do you think of Mike's idea as far as an Assassin's Creed game?
Hey, you can say it sucks. I don't care.
No, I like it. I mean, I'll probably buy it, try to, and give it a nice playthrough.
There you go. What would you rate it out of 10, as far as the idea wise?
Solid 7.
Fair enough. I liked it a lot, and I'll give it like a solid 9. I really enjoyed it, and I don't play Assassin's Creed that much, so I thought Mike, you went very in depth with that and what needed to be done. So there was a lot of thought obviously put into it. Nikos, I'm saving you for last because you kind of helped him with the last pieces of the puzzle. What would you rate the idea from 1 to 10?
In all honesty, I mean, I think it's a really good idea. I feel like with this type of aesthetic into the game of learning Japanese mythology, it's a giant leap from what we got from Origins and Odyssey. And after having played Odyssey, I wasn't like too into it, only because of the fact that it felt more of just an RPG set in Greece and not an Assassin's Creed game. But
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I actually played
Great. That's why I didn't want to buy it, because I'm sitting there going, what part of history am I supposed to be in?
Right.
What's the important battle that's going on as the backdrop to all the assassinations? Oh, none?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It tells you, it's during the start of the Peloponnesian War, but it has flashbacks of the Battle of Thermopylae, and you're just kind of mixed here.
Then do the Battle of Thermopylae. Fucking assassinate Xerxes' men.
Right.
Die with the 300 and fucking defending the gates.
That would have been cool.
Oh no, they did that in cutscenes.
Yeah.
Oh, of course they did that in cutscenes, because why do massive battles?
So just to wrap this up, obviously, Nikos, what would you rate it out of 1 to 10 so we can move on? Obviously.
I'll give it a 9. I mean, I would have rated it a 10, but I just kind of have my thoughts about some areas. Basically, how we're going to create the character, dialogue, that type of stuff. Like, I'm really hoping it's not that bland type of dialogue.
No. I will tell you this right now. I have watched so far about 20 feudal Japan style arid samurai formatted movies.
Yep.
To kind of get an idea of how characters are going to be worked, and I'm going to promise you this: it's going to be it's going to be fucking the good and bad and the ugly in Japan.
Good shit.
Are they going to speak English or?
Oh no! I want it to be English, but I want it to be. You can absolutely hear the Japanese.
Oh, so Japanese dub. Okay.
Japanese dub. I want to make it as authentic as humanly possible. Oh yeah, I can absolutely believe that this is the voice that they're hearing, and it's not just insert main character being Matthew Mercer or Troy Baker or Steve Blum, or insert 50 other white guys that are absolute voice actors.
Yeah,
right.
That are incredible voice actors, but my God, they need to stop being in everything. Let's continue.
Fair enough. Well, cool. So, what would that be, John? Because you're the math guy. You gave it a 7. Mike, Nikos, and I gave it a 9. So, what would that equal?
That would be an 8.
No, because one
the
of
average. The average would be about be an 8 and a 8.5, 8.25.
We'll say 8.25. So hey, it's a passing grade. Woohoo!
Hey, it's still better than Assassin's Creed Egypt Edition.
Yes, that is very accurate.
Anything will be better than I am buggy as fuck and don't work 90% of the time.
I've encountered a lot of people who said Origins was the best. I'm like,
it's terrible.
The best is the original. You're never gonna beat the original.
Assassin's Creed 2 beats the original.
Right. So 1 or 2 is the best.
Ezio and his trilogy is one of the best well-designed characters in all of fucking Ubisoft's arsenal.
And Nikos, if you could, read the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Ass in Creed?
Can we just say one thing before we get started on that?
Why is this series still breathing?
That's a good one, honestly. That's actually better than my question. Mine was going to be, hey, so who remembers when Assassin's Creed was historically accurate and they tried to do things in history?
Semi-historically accurate.
They use history as a backdrop to make a game. Yeah. That's fine. But when the fuck do we start fighting Minotaur, the god Ra, and what's next? Is fucking Thor going to appear in the game and go, "'Tis thou understand my way of life? Mighty tornado!" And I'm going, why is he doing Marvel 3 combos in an Assassin's Creed game? Fuck!
Let's just be real here. The only reason why Assassin's Creed is doing the whole Norse mythology angle is because of the success from God of War.
Yeah, because they were 2 years late on the God of War fab of let's do a Norse mythology game.
Because why not? Nikos, if you could, read away.
All right. So this article was published on Eurogamer.com by Tom Phillips, news editor. Assassin's Creed Valhalla reshapes the series' RPG storytelling by giving you a Viking settlement. Ubisoft answers our questions on new hero Eivor, Viking Britain, and much more. Ubisoft knows what you think of Vikings. Their reputation in history as bloodthirsty invaders interested in Britain only to pillage its riches. And so, in today's reveal trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, this version of history is addressed head-on. You see Vikings and their families spending some quiet, quality time together back home in Norway, where Valhalla's saga begins, and that things weren't so Alfred the Great in Britain either, where the majority of Valhalla actually takes place. Of course, the first trailer barely scratches the surface of the game, and indeed how its portrayal of Vikings, Saxons, and various other groups living in Britain will actually look, though actual footage arrives very soon. Will good old King Alf really be a mustache-twirling pantomime villain? No. Lead producer Julian Lafiere assures me as we settle down to talk Valhalla in detail. Will all Vikings be good guys? No. Again, and I should know this because I took like 3 courses on Vikings, but that's beside the point. But what seems certain is how Valhalla has been entirely shaped by this principle. Vikings were not only invaders, but settlers as well. They were ferocious warriors, yes, but also a group of people with a rich culture, living gods, and huge mythology, all of which Valhalla will explore more in detail. Central to all that will be a new village settlement hub, a home for main character Eivor and their comrades, a familiar starting point for adventures, and a place you'll see your decisions play out. It's another adjustment for a series well past its early transition into RPG territory, Origins, and already able to boast about real mastery of the genre, Odyssey, which
I don't know about
my
that.
perspective, that's kind of not that true, but
We could tell this guy actually really likes Assassin's Creed. That's all.
Oh yeah, especially you said it was Jeffrey Yohelm?
No, it was Tom Phillips.
yeah,
Tom Phillips.
Not to be
Hold on.
confused with WWE's Tom Phillips, by the way.
yeah,
Although it wouldn't shock me.
of which feels like it will fill some of the few remaining blanks in the latter game's formula. So instead of embarking on a never-ending journey to defog all the map, Valhalla's narrative is built around your settlement, and through it, quote-unquote, it's your own Viking village you'll see prosper and grow, and which your clanmates will live in. Lafiere tells me via video call. By the way, when I say me, I'm talking about Tom, not me.
Yeah,
We want players to see the consequences of their actions. Big story arcs will begin and end here, the impact of your decisions rippling through your growing community. Oh, so basically it's almost like a Telltale game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
okay. Can I give a counter to this so far?
Go ahead.
Yes, I did put up my own idea for an Assassin's Creed story, my own place, and I'm not going to say it's better, and I'm not going to say it's worse because we haven't seen the game.
Mhm.
We don't know the story. We don't know what's going on. But if you're going to betray Vikings and you're going to do it correctly, you fucking damn well sure that you have it accurate. They weren't just savages. They weren't just hunters. They weren't just non-stop barbarians.
They were nomads.
Yeah.
They're from Norway. They were farmers. A lot of them had side businesses. They wore chainmail.
They were farmers, merchants, some of them were slavers.
They were the greatest warriors of their time period for the fact that nobody could beat them. For every single one of them wore chainmail. They had the best armor, the best gear, the best equipment. They were fucking battle hardened and ready to go. They were some of the best warriors because they trained.
And they were fucking brutal.
Well, the brutality is overshined for the fact that most of the stories that we know about the Vikings are told from the British.
And if you would digress into mythology, there is no recorded writing of Vikings by the Vikings. It was all in runic inscriptions. Everything that you learned about Vikings were part of scriptures in from old clerics of Britain. through medieval scholars, basically the English created the idea of the Vikings as the bloodthirsty monsters you recognize as.
Yes, but the differentiation is the Viking not only was a battle-hardened warrior that was a terror in combat. One Viking warrior could fucking outshine most in a standard one-on-one combative practice. You put him up against a dude in a suit of knight's armor, he'll know his way to defeat that. He'll know his way to take the armor apart to fully get the guy out of it and beat his ass. But the differentiation is Vikings are, at least in history, in historical accuracy, are some of the most intelligent and smart individuals that you will ever see in history. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they are the biggest liars in history for the fact of, oh yeah, come to Greenland. Come to Greenland.
It's so
Come to Greenland. Come to Greenland. Yeah, let's go to a fucking frozen tundra and we'll just call that Greenland. Why? So we can absolutely screw with every single person on the planet. Hey, you guys want to do a billionaire troll? What do you mean? Let's call this Greenland, and the place that is green, we're going to call that Iceland. Why?
Because fuck you.
Mass confusion. It's our greatest
misdirection.
Okay.
It's
Nikos, if you could read.
Yes,
the rest
continue.
Sure. You'll see the effects of alliances such as weddings to forge relationship between clans and the consequences of harsh choices you have to face. It's also where you'll see some of the game's romances play out if you choose to indulge in those. It's really changed the shape of the game we were making, Lefier says. Instead of exploring one territory, then moving on to another and having no real opportunity or reason to return, the settlement changes the structure. So you go on an adventure and then be encouraged to come back to your settlement. It changes the way we're playing the game we're making. At least that's the bet we're making. It's not an entirely new concept for the franchise, but it's been a long time since Assassin's Creed tried to give players a proper home. Boats and train rides, Assassin's Creed 3's rather basic homestead is the last good example. It's also a tried and tested idea for the genre. As Lefier speaks, he describes the settlement as a place of importance in Valhalla, reminiscent of Skyhold and the Normandy, which players return to time and again. As you grow your village, new buildings will be able to customize and upgrade, such as a barracks, blacksmith, and tattoo parlor. Interesting. Yesterday's artwork strongly hinted at Valhalla's focus on Britain. Something made clearer by today's trailer, and this is where Ivor's new home will be founded. But you can't have a Viking game without seeing Scandinavia and Norway is the setting for the start of the game. You have to understand where these people are coming from, Lefier explains. You'll feel the harshness of the lands, the political pressure there at the time. You'll feel all that, and hopefully you'll understand why you have to move to England, where most of the game takes place. Britain will then make up the bulk of the game's map, Lefier adds, but a few surprise areas will also feature.
Now, here comes the question.
Sure.
When do we get into the goofy mythological nonsense that you know they're going to put in? You know they're going to. They've already called it Valhalla.
Yeah. I mean, based on the trailer,
Odyssey,
in Odin.
We had Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, and now Valhalla. You know they're going to be putting in some fucking nonsense that you're going to sit there and go, but why though? I mean, I understand why calling it Valhalla, and I get the whole idea to get that Viking principle around. But I'll say this. Throughout the course of the game, if you never see the Blood Eagle happen once, then your game isn't historically accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to...
remind me, the Blood Eagle is a method of killing?
The Blood Eagle is more of a sign. So let me explain. Take individual from local village who is scumbag and or asshole. Pin him up against a fucking post, such as like doing a Triple H pose. Put him in a crucifix style formation. Split open his back and pull his intestines and put him up to his hands in wing formation. then open up his rib cage and his chest.
In the formation of an eagle. Now, I have read texts saying that there was no real evidence that the Vikings had ever committed a blood eagle. There is, however, some proof, you would say, in some poems where the sons of Ragnar, when they found King Aiu, they marked an eagle on his back. They didn't specify
what it was, but
yes, what it was exactly.
It's basically saying that it did happen without
it did. Well, okay. We know that there had to have been a formative way for them to say, we're here. We want you fuckers to know we're here. I mean, the Vikings, you can't, yes, very intelligent individuals, the smartest fucking people of their time. That's why they won almost every battle that they were in. That's why if you go to London or go to specifically anywhere in the UK, they'll go, "Do you see that pile of rocks over there yet?" And that's where the Vikings came and kicked our asses.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you see that big pile of rocks that looks like a castle? Yes. Where are we? Germany? And that's where the Vikings came and they fucking kicked our asses.
Let's continue and read the last 6 paragraphs of this, Nikos, and then we can give our overall thoughts of it.
So, it's in Britain, of course. You'll eventually meet King Alfred, who the trailer paints as the villain of the piece, complete with some Templar-looking artifacts in the background. But Lafayette assures me that Alf will be more of a complex character when you meet him in-game.
But there's a problem with that.
Yeah, wasn't King Alfred, like, an idiot, or was that his nephew?
No, well, I mean, obviously, but the major issue...
I remember...
No, continue.
Like, I remember reading some of the texts that King Alfred, I don't know if it was the first or third...
Probably the third you're thinking of.
He did not know how to run a country because he was a kid. So, just by looking at this character, I'm thinking it's the first.
So, here's the problem with the game. The game is set in 873.
Yes.
Nikos, do you happen to know off the top of your head when the Knights Templar began?
When the Knights Templar began?
The
actual Knights Templar, I believe, began during the...
In 1119. It was formed...
Right around the time of the Third Crusade.
Yes, which would be 1119. They started in 1119. In their headquarters.
1119, that's when it should be the end of the Vikings.
The Vikings, I believe, fully, like, they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they were diminished after Battle
how are there Templar artifacts if they haven't been around in 300 years?
Yeah.
That's some time traveler shit.
That's some fucking... They don't exist yet till 300 years later. So 300 years later...
They're going to find an excuse.
Yeah, they're going to find an excuse. I agree with that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna find some stupid fucking... Well, this is Assassin's Creed. It doesn't have to follow the base timeline. But Knights Templar didn't... Yeah, exactly. 11-19 is when they first began. And I'm going to just take a quick look. End of the Viking Age... And I want to say that would be 1066. The game takes place in 800, though.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense historically.
The Vikings first appeared in the year 793 on Sack.
That's the first. Yeah, that's the first documented beginning of the Viking Age. And Vikings, from what fucking morons think, the Vikings all disappeared. No, they just became normal human beings and just kind of lived amongst everybody else and just stopped being
Some
Vikings.
did. The rest went to Iceland.
Yep,
and
that
didn't last for long.
Yep. Yeah, so it's just... So,
let's finish this up and just be quick with it.
Yeah.
Go right ahead, brother.
The game looks set to cover the Viking campaign against him, the one which led to him being on the run, burning cakes, and his eventual success at pushing the Norse back and unifying swaths of England. Alfred the Great is a very important historical figure we want to treat right, Lafayette says. And to do so, it's all in the subtleties and nuances you'll find. Now, I wouldn't be so far to say Alfred the Great was a very important historical figure. I mean, there have been other people within the whole Viking mythology that states that, there have been other people that have been converting the Norsemen into Christianity, like take Harold Bluetooth or Harold Finehair, that would appear later on. He was the one that would unify all of Norway to becoming one. But Alfred the Great, I guess, from reading after him, I guess his main obsession was just purifying all the Vikings into Christianity, and if they weren't, he would just kill them all.
Can I give a counter to the point, if you don't mind?
Sure.
So, okay, just to give the example. So, in this game, which takes place, the Templars appear in the game 246 years prior to their actual existence, correct?
Yes.
Does that mean that that George Washington should already have an iPhone by the time at the Battle of Lexington?
Yeah, fuck's sake.
Yeah. You don't remember that?
You don't remember when fucking George Washington came out and he goes, hold on, I'm sending a tweet. And the Boston Tea Party already happened?
Dude, don't you remember the famous part of the Paul Revere quote? When he was driving his Lamborghini down the road, 2 honks if by land, 1 if by sea.
Oh, I thought he was too busy sitting in his brand new house watching fucking Netflix while the virus attacked him too.
So my Lamborghini.
You can't change historical events to fit your fucking video game timeline. I don't care.
So
not to change the subject, but
6 years into the future to bring something back.
Continue, Matt.
Yep.
Speaking of Ubisoft in England, we have gotten no updates on Watchdog Legions.
Don't worry about it. Nobody cares.
Don't worry.
I pre-ordered that game.
Yeah, you did for your. Yeah, that's.
Matt, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. They're never gonna make it.
Listen. When they tell me, hey, here's a game where everyone's a playable character, yeah, I'm gonna be like, give me some details. It's 2020. What's up?
Yeah, never.
He's not wrong. Here. All right. You know what? Let's just put this out there. Do we even need to read the rest of this article?
No, fuck that. Honestly, this is pissing me off. Honestly, at this point, this fucking stupid historical nonsense is pissing me off. The fact that you cannot have events happen 240 fucking 6 years prior to the actual events in real time. That is the equivalent, and I'm going to put it like this, that is the equivalent of the Minutemen organization in the U.S. colonies when they were doing the fucking Revolutionary War, and all of a sudden we just go, and right now, George Washington is in a hot tub, sitting there next to his Lamborghini, on his fucking iPhone 7, sitting there trying to tweet about trying to get more men. Cometh, if you will, and lend me thou ears, so we can sit here in my jacuzzi and drink a fucking beer. I don't care about you, Ubisoft, and your fucking crippled timeline. I don't give a shit.
If you guys want to see the article, it'll be in the description box below. You can read the rest of it yourself. I can't be asked if they're not going to fucking be historically accurate.
If they're not going to focus on
fucking
the actual lore and mythology of any other mythologies other than Greek, Egyptian, Norse, or if in the future if they decide to make a Japanese. But
hey, really quick, this game will be the 23rd Assassin's Creed.
You know what's sad, Mike? Your Assassin's Creed Japan idea was way more historical.
Because I fucking made sure everything in the timeline of real life continues. I could put Templars in my game, but I'm not fucking going to, because what's the point? Well, we have to discuss the Apple of Eden.
It
gives a shit about that stupid plot point.
I don't give a shit about historical accuracy anyway. Just have the fucking people from The Last of Us or The Woke of Us, too, come out and just, help them with another freaking game and have women be some vocal point, even though it wouldn't have happened yet. It's fine. Fuck it. Fuck it.
James.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog can copyright claim this if you mention The Last of Us 2.
They already have, and they haven't copyright claimed us. So if they attempt to, I'll fight the shit out of it and say, well, I'm sorry that your game is fucking terrible and looks like a bad idea. So just
and by the way, you can't. I'm not looking to be fucking scared of fucking people that we talk about and shit that they make public. If they're gonna try to do that, they can't because it's all under fair use. So
just to give my example, that means in the Assassin's Creed timeline, Joseph Presley, who is the fucking one of the greatest alchemical fucking chemists in the world, theorists in the world, who discovers oxygen in 1774, would be able to go, cool, I'm so glad I was able to discover oxygen with my Hubble fucking telescope.
Yep. Yep.
Ubisoft,
ladies and gentlemen,
Ubisoft needs to stop trying. You're not.
It's just
historical.
here's the only one that was historical. The only two games that were historical were Assassin's Creed. No, the three: Assassin's Creed 1, Assassin's Creed 2, and Assassin's Creed 3.
That's
Now,
it.
yes, I know somebody could sit there and say, but Brotherhood and the
Revelations.
those are very good as well. They're not bad games. Those are very good games with very good characters, but they weren't fucking with timeline. Things happen that have to happen. You can't have the Revolutionary War without the Battle of Lexington and fucking Concord. Those don't happen unless they actually happen. You can't have the fight about the fucking... If you're gonna do backdrops, do backdrops.
Yeah.
They did the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Fine. You use that as your backdrop to your game. Makes sense. The body count, you can do whatever the hell you want. Don't worry about it. You can absolutely do a high body count in the French Revolution. But the problem comes in is when that game is fucking terrible too.
Yeah.
These games went from the first Assassin's Creed, a great tech demo. That is a very good tech demo to a free running system in a third-person game. And then the second game made it better, and its sequels made it better, and the third game, I think, is the last good footnote, because fuck Black Flag. I don't even know why we're getting Nerf footballs for Christmas. I'm going to end this here, and I'm going to say this quickly. Ubisoft, there is this tool that you can use. It's called Google. And you can get most, if not all, the facts you need on Google. And then when you're like, maybe we should make a game, stop for like a second and contact a historian that is a professional in the field that you are researching.
And don't just look up on the History Channel show of Vikings. That is not all accurate either.
Yes.
Okay. It's thing.
Is there really anything else to say?
That
Go ahead.
Wait, Matt has something to say. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Matt. That's what I was trying to say. Go right ahead, Matt.
sucks is that Ubisoft can make great games. Like, they just need to stop it. They need to cool it with Assassin's Creed because, like, they did everything they could. It is really not much up. Make a Viking game.
It should have ended at the trilogy.
Assassin's Creed.
Honestly.
Like,
And if
now
they're
it's
gonna
just
doing it, they need to be
RPG
historically
story.
accurate like they were with the first three games.
Yeah, but it's just RPG story games with just the title into it.
Yeah.
Instead of just making a new IP that would have been interesting.
True.
Could just easily make the Viking game and just name it Valhalla, and people would be all over it.
Yeah, agreed. I would play it if it was like, oh, well, we're gonna put you in this. No, can I tell you why? And here's my problem with this fucking franchise. It's the one weapon that literally doesn't work or make sense in all these games.
Yeah, what is the weapon? I'm actually gonna look that
No,
up.
it's the hidden blade. The hidden blade doesn't exist in any contextual historical sense. It doesn't fucking exist. Now, yes, you can absolutely have the blade that can curve down, go into the palm, and be able to put it back in to your little sleeve that you have here.
Yeah.
This thing, though, this fucking big
Spring-loaded thing?
This
Mike, you keep cutting out, bro. You keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on, but you keep cutting out.
How's that?
All right, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Spring-loaded mechanisms. In time periods where they wouldn't fucking exist yet, the hidden blade doesn't make sense. It looks interesting, and it does look cool. I'm not going to deny that.
Well,
But it
why is
doesn't
that?
exist yet in the Norse mythology.
No, it doesn't exist at all.
Dude, it's not even close to existing.
I'm saying it right now. It doesn't exist anywhere in history. The hidden blade tool that's from Assassin's Creed 1 doesn't fucking exist. There is no weapon in history that was spring-loaded and could easily shoot out and stop at a certain point. Stop right at the base of the wrist. And then when you close your hand, it goes back in. It's impossible.
Yep.
Because actually, you're going to fucking stab yourself. You're going to do something stupid. This lovely woman. Oh, fuck, I killed her. I didn't even mean to do it. I just killed somebody. I didn't even mean to do it. It goes against the code. Remember when the code was the big thing, the Assassin's Code, where that was like a whole...
Yeah.
The Apple of Eden. Don't worry about it. As I said, if you want to play these games, go from 1, 2, its sequels, and 3. Just do that.
About it.
Desmond Miles. Now that Miles is dead, they're like, we can do whatever the fuck we want now.
Yeah.
And now the
And
replacement
moral
of
story is moral.
Assassin's Creed India, Assassin's Creed Russia, China. Now we're gonna do the Vikings. Do me a favor. Just fucking research. It's not that hard. It took me about 4 days to compile all the stuff for my idea for an Assassin's Creed game. It took me 4 days of research and back-checking and back-checking and back-checking and back-checking and going through actual weapons that would have existed at the time. That is why in my game, there will not be a hidden blade. Fuck you, I don't want to even make it an Assassin's Creed game. Give me a Japanese game where I finally get to play as a ninja and try to go through a historical event.
Alright, well, Matt's about to go. Matt, if you want to say bye to everybody, you can before we talk about our final
Peace out,
thought.
Matt.
Thanks for coming on, brother.
Bean sauce.
See you, brother.
Alright, now, let's talk about the final story, because, moral of the story of this game, and I wanted to end it with this. Another historically inaccurate Assassin's Creed game for Christmas in the holiday season this year. Merry Christmas!
And a happy go fuck yourself, Ubisoft. I don't care which branch.